Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Now I'm going to show you how to do the crocodile stitch in two colours. It's been around for a long time and I'm going to show you how to do it in two different colours. So the colours I've chosen today, I'm just going to use a white and I'm going to use this really pretty sort of grey blue. I got this sent to me from a lady in Australia and her name is Bernie, and I'm going to use this. It's really lovely and squishy soft, and so is this one. This is just a double knitting. This one here, it's a 8-ply Merino, but they're the same thickness. They're just about the same thickness, so it will work. You can use different brands. I'll pop that up there. I'm going to zoom down a little bit as well. I'm going to use, I don't know if the light will pick it up, I'm going to use a 4.5. This is a UK 4.5 size crochet hook. I'm going to start with the white because I want to do the edge in the blue. So we'll start with the white yarn. I'm going to do a chain. And I'll do my chain in sets of 3. Don't do your chain too tight. You don't want your blanket on the end to curve in the way. So I've done my chain. Into the 4th stitch in your chain, you're going to put a treble crochet, and that's you made your first V stitch. You're going to chain 1. You're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and into the next stitch you'll put 1 treble crochet, 1 chain and 1 treble crochet. If you're in the USA, that's 1 double crochet, 1 chain and 1 double crochet into the same stitch. That's 1, chain 1 and 1 more into the same stitch to make a V stitch. And the reason it's called a V stitch is because it looks like the letter V. Chain 1, you're going to skip 2, 1, 2, and do a V stitch all the way along your chain. Now you need an odd number of V's. To keep the pattern symmetrical, it needs to be an odd number of V's. So chain 1, skip 2, and do your V stitch. That's 1 treble crochet, 1 chain and 1 treble crochet. Chain 1 and skip 2 and then do a V stitch all the way to the end. So chain 1 and another stitch into that same stitch. So that's us got our length. Make sure you've got 2 parts to each of your V stitches when you're going along. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. That's going to count as my first treble crochet. Now down the post of this V and back up again, we're going to work 5 treble crochets. So that chain 3 counts as the first one. So I'm going to yarn over and go around that post and do a treble crochet. If you're in the USA, this is a double crochet. So that counts as my first one. That's my second one. Around the same post, I'm going to do my third one, my fourth one, and my fifth one. Now I'm going to chain one. Some people chain two here. It's up to you. You can either chain one or you can chain two, and that makes the peak. I'll put that up there, leave it there. That makes the peak part of your stitch down here. So you're working your 5 treble crochets down, and then we'll work 5 treble crochets up that V stitch. I'll just leave that there like that. So I'm going to chain one and do 5, I'll move that tail out of the way, 5 treble crochets up the other side of that first V stitch. So yarn over, you can just squish it in half like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is what you have, you've got your little stitch down one side and up the other. I'm going to chain, turn it round that way, chain 2, 1 and 2. So we're going to turn it this way. You're going to skip that whole V stitch there, skip that one and go to the next one, and you're going to do your 5 treble crochets down one side of the V and 5 up the other side. So that's 1, a little bit fiddly to begin with, 1, it's only your first row, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now you're going to chain one and work up the other side of that V stitch. Just squish it down so you can get around that stitch. It's just a bit like we did with the wriggle blanket. That's 2, working around the post, 3, 4 and 5. Chain 2, 1, 2. Now you're going to skip that one. So we're on our next stitch. It is a little bit fiddly until you get the hang of this. So skip that V stitch and we're going to go down and up this one. So hold it like a little ladder. So you skip that one and work down that one and up that side. So down that post and up that post. Just fold it in half so you've got that stitch there. And do your first treble crochet, that's 1. So you're going to go 5 down, chain 1 and come up the other side with 5 treble crochets, or double crochets if you're in the USA. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5, chain 1 and work back up the other side. Just twist it around so you're coming back up the other side. We're going to do that all the way to the end, and you should finish on a scale stitch or a crocodile stitch on your very last V. That's 3, 4 and 5. Chain 2, 1, 2, just move it around so it looks like a ladder, skip that one and work this one. So just fold it so you've got that post there. 4 and 5. So it's a double crochet in the USA and it's a treble crochet in the UK. Now my fifth one, I'm going to put it into the chain just to lock it in. I'm going to go in through a stitch just to lock it in at the end. I'm going to cut my yarn. Now you will have some ends that you need to stitch in, and just pull that through. Oops, that didn't cut right through. Need some new scissors. So leave yourself a tail end that you can stitch in. And this is what you've got on your first round. You've got your first round of your little stitches like that one. Now each section is 2 rows. You do a row of the V-stitch and a row of your crocodile stitch. So what I'm going to do now is into the very corner of where that 5th treble crochet is, I'm going to put my hook through, and I'm going to take my next colour of my yarn. I'm going to use this beautiful baby Merino yarn. It's absolutely beautiful. I got this sent to me from one of my friends. Her name is Bernie, and she lives in Australia. Now you can see the Happy Mail video that Bernie, the big package that Bernie sent to me on my channel if you look through. So I'm just going to pull that through, my yarn through, and we're going to do a row of V stitches again with this other colour. So I'm going to chain 3, that's 1, 2 and 3. Oh, chain 1 more. So the 3 is your treble crochet and that 1 is your chain 1. Into that same stitch, put another treble crochet, and if you're in the USA, that's a double crochet. We're going to chain 1. Now where you've got this loose part where your 2 crocodile stitches, and you've got the V stitch that you skipped, that's the V stitch you didn't work. You're going to attach those two with a V stitch. So yarn over and go right through there, and what you're going to do is you're going to attach that one to that one through that V stitch. There's the V stitch, so go through the V stitch, and we're going to do a V stitch in there. That's 1 treble crochet, chain 1 and 1 treble crochet, chain 1 and move to the next crocodile stitch and do a V stitch, 1 chain 1 and treble crochet. So chain 1, so remember your chain 1s. So again we're going to just lock that together. We're using the V stitch that was skipped, and we're going to put a V stitch in there. So right through, treble crochet, chain 1 and treble crochet, chain 1 and move to the next crocodile stitch into that space and put your next V stitch. You'll do that all the way along your line. Remember your chain 1s so that your blanket doesn't go in like that. So your chain 1s, I'll keep it separate like that. Work your way to the end. So we're going to just join these 2 pieces together. We're going through the V stitch, and it'll catch those 2 and hold it in. So did I do chain 1 and put my V stitch inside there, and at the same time it's going to lock this little flapping bit in. Now you can rewind the video. If you found I've gone a little too quick, rewind the video, and down there in the settings you can click on it and you can change the speed. If I'm going too slow, you can make it quicker, and if I'm going too fast, you can slow it down, and it's in the settings. There's a little round circle down there and it says settings. So I've chained my one and I'm doing my other part of my V-stitch. Remember and do the two parts of your V-stitch. So chain one and move to the next stitch. All the way along. Chain one, then into the gap in between, going in between. So I'm at the last stitch and I'm going to put it in. I'm not going into the space. I'm going to put it into this little joint here just to help lock that stitch in place. Chain one and go into there to finish my V stitch. Now this is what we have. This is what we've got now. Don't worry about your stitches. They will all lay flat. So this is what we have now. We're going to do our first blue one in here. We need to start in the second one so that our crocodile stitch comes in between the two white ones. Between the two white ones. From now on we'll be working our blue ones in between the white stitches. We have to get to this second V, so I'm going to slip stitch across to this second V stitch here. I'm just going to turn my work around like this and I'm going to slip along the stitches, just go in and out the stitches and slip along to that next V in the line. So we're going into that second V in the line. So just slip your way along through the stitches. You won't really see them once we do the next row and into that second blue V shape. And that's us right at that post of that second V. The blue ones, when you do your second row, no matter what colour you're doing, you'll start on your second V. So that way it staggers it like this. You'll have, and this one it's pink and white, so I've got a pink one and it staggers in for the white. Pink, white, pink, white. So my second rows are all starting in the second V. So you'll chain 3, 1, 2, 3. That becomes your first treble crochet. And we're going to put 4 more down that post. So we're working on the second blue V shape. So that's 3. Oops. That's 4 and 5. Chain 1 and then just turn your work, turn it and nip it so that we've got the other post to work up. We're going to work up this other post. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 and chain 2. 1, 2. We'll turn our work back around just like ladder so we can see it. Skip that one and work that one. So we're going to work all the V's. We're going to work all the V's that are in between the white stitches. Skip that one and then work that one all the way to the end. So this is what my little sample looks like now. I remember that you're working along and then working back. So I've done my last treble crochet in here, and I'm at the last one of my V stitches. Now that one doesn't get worked, so I'm going to do a treble crochet. I've done my chain of 2. I'm going to do a treble crochet, and I'm going to join it into the corner of this V stitch, into the 3rd stitch there, and just pull through. Now the easiest thing to do with this, you will stitch in your tails, and I found the easiest thing to do is just finish off your rows that you've done and then stitch in your little tail ends. So what we're going to do now is we're going to join the white again, and we're just going to repeat that bottom row there. Just do what you did for the blue. So I'm going to put my stitch through. Don't worry about all the tail ends, you can just stitch those in. Now pull that through and do a chain of 3. 1, 2 and 3. If you want to make it feel a little bit more secure, you can take your 2 tail ends and just put a little knot in it, and then you can stitch your ends in. There we go. It's going to hold all that a little bit more secure. So I've done my chain of 3. That's my first treble crochet. I'm going to chain 1. That's my chain 1, and into that same stitch where we've just been, we're going to do our 2nd treble crochet. Just pull those ends out. It will be better just to stitch those in as you go along. So that's me done my first V stitch. So my next one is going in here, just the same way we did for the white. So we're going to chain 2, chain 1, and do your V stitch into the middle of this blue one. 1 treble crochet, chain 1, and 1 treble crochet. Chain 1, and we're going to join these 2 pieces together. Just go into the V stitch in there. Make sure you do both parts of your V stitch. We're going to do this all the way along, and this is the 2 rows that you'll repeat. You're going to work right to the end this time with your crocodile stitch, and that one will lay itself in the space there. The next one will be between the 2 blue ones, and that's going to make this staggering effect. Move my ball of yarn out of the way. So as you can see, on the end of my row I've got a pink one, and then my white one goes in there, then it's pink, white, it goes out, in and out, all the way up, and that's the way this one will work. My next white one will be in there. So I'm going to work all the way to the end with my V stitch row. I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2 and 3. So that counts as my first treble crochet. So I need another 4 because we need to put 5 down this stitch. That's 1, 2, sorry, that's 3, 4 and 5. Chain 1. Now just give it a little turn around, and we're going to work up this side here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Chain 2, 1, 2. Now we're going to just slightly turn it again so you can see it like a little ladder. Skip that one, and we're going to work into the stitch between these two here. Now you can make this all one colour. I do have another video on showing you how to do all this one colour, so skipping that one and we're working that one. You're basically working the ones that are in between the stitches. You're working the V stitches in between the pattern on the row below. So skip that one and do your 5 treble crochets, your chain 1, and work up the other side of that V stitch. That's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Chain 1 and just turn it slightly. You can fold it in half if you want to get in to that space there, and put 5 treble crochets in. That's 1, 2, around that post, 3, 4, and 5. Chain 2, 1, 2, give it a little turn back. We're going to skip the one that's in the middle of there and work the next one. Done a few rows of this crocodile stitch or scale stitch. Some people even call it the dragon stitch as well, and it's been around for a long time. And that is how you do 2 colours to it. Now, the pink and white one that I did, I put a border around it. I'm going to quickly show you how to do that on this little sample piece. Now, when you look down the side, you've got your little loops down the side of the V stitch that we missed. These are the skipped ones, and along the bottom you've got your chain, and then up the side you've got the same. You've got your little part where again where we missed it. These are the parts where you're going to put your fan in. So I'm just going to put my hook into there. I'm going to get my yarn, and I want to thank Bernie in Australia who sent this to me. It's really pretty. It's beautiful yarn. I'm just going to pull my yarn through. I'll zoom in a little bit so we can see a little bit better. I'll just wrap my tail around. We can stitch that tail end in. Pull that down. All in. And I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. So that chain of 3 counts as your first treble crochet. I'm going to put another 6 in there. Now when I did this little pink one, I've actually got 7 treble crochets in the fan. So we've got 1, that chain counts as 1, and 2. Now I'm going around the part of the V that we missed. Do you remember that we missed? Now, do you remember we missed the very first V when we did the blue? So 1, 2, I'm just putting it around that V. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So this is my stitch here. This is my crocodile stitch. Right beside it, I'm going to just latch this one down. So just do a double crochet in there to hold that fan down like that. Now you can do more than one row when you do the fan, you can do your next one in between and just work around more than one row. So into this space here, so we've got our next stitch that's missed. I'm going to put my 7 treble crochets. That's a UK treble crochet. If you're in the USA, this is a double crochet. I'm going to put 7 in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Now you don't need to put a border around this. I'm going to go into just right at the bottom of that crocodile stitch and do a double crochet just to lock that fan into place. You've got your even spaces anyway because that is the V-stitch that we skipped. I don't know why I keep drifting off to that. I keep drifting off to that other side there. So I'm going around this V-stitch here that was skipped. I'm putting the fan in line with my blue colour here. It's 1, 2. Now I'm going to lock this one in because I'm running along the bottom of my blanket now. I'm going to lock this one in to here. Now that's my stitch. So I'm going into that little space there and I'll just secure that band down in there. So just go into there and do a double crochet. Now I'm going along to my next chain space. I've got this V-stitch here. Can you see the V-stitch? I'll turn that round. So that's the V-stitch there. We're going to put the fan in there. So that's the V-stitch. I'm going inside there. That's the ones that was skipped on at the very beginning. So I'm going to put my treble crochets. That's 1. Put my 7 in there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. And we'll lock it down into that middle bit of that crocodile stitch, just under there. And we'll move along to the next V-stitch in the middle of the next V-stitch. And what that's going to do is it's going to put that nice little fan all the way around the blanket like this, if you've done a big blanket. Now I've just done a little small sample of this, and this is what it looks like on the larger one. That's the bottom of my blanket, and you can see where I've put the fan in to the missed V-stitch, and going down the side I put the fan into the missed V-stitch on the white on here, because the white is the one that's set in. The white is the one that's set in, and that's where I put that fan in that missed V-stitch at the beginning of the white rows, and I put them into the skipped stitch in between the pink on the bottom. Now I haven't put anything on the top. I've left the top the way it is. I've left it just like that on the top of the blanket. You can put the fan along the top if you want it, but my niece that I've done this for didn't want anything along the top. She wants to stitch a piece of tartan lace on it. She wants to put some lace on it, but this is really pretty as well. So give it a try. Give this a try. Just space out your fans along the bottom in between your stitches, and space them out in between these here. In these spaces, just use your empty V stitches. You can, if you want, do the same along the top. You can just attach that one in and put a fan in along there, and then secure it with a double crochet into the top. So you can put the fans in the top as well. Put them in between your crocodile stitch. So just put your fan into there, and that is how you do your, and that's how I done the little fan border around it. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. It's up to you. Uh, the purpose of the tutorial was to show you how to do this beautiful crocodile stitch or dragon stitch, whatever you want to call it, in two different colours, just to show you how easy it is. So thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. Just click on that subscribe button, and if you hit the bell icon, YouTube will alert you when I put up another tutorial. So until the next time, happy crafting, and I'll see you all again soon. Goodbye.